sweet thing. How you doing? Welcome back to Baking Corner with Nikki. Today we are going to be doing one of my favorite recipes. This is something that I learned way back, and it's stuck with me over the years. It's a very simple recipe for a very classic staple. So today we're going to be doing my recipe for a chocolate cake. Yes, the chocolate cake that they was eating on Matilda, that chocolate cake. If you are interested in having a printable recipe sheet, please let me know and I can make sure that I have that for you guys, okay? But if we are all ready and on one accord, let's get started, okay? Grab your apron, let's get baking. All right, y'all. So like I said, this is a really simple recipe. I have been using the same recipe for years and years. So we're gonna start off with 1 1/4 cup of flour. I am using all-purpose flour. I think that would be the best option for this type of cake. This recipe is like so simple. You could use a mixer. You can use a hand mixer, stand mixer. It's really simple. Because I want this to be exact or as exact as possible, I am gonna spoon it into my measuring cup just so I can get it close enough. Now, because my cocoa powder is kind of clumpy, it's not going to be perfect, but I want it to be close enough. We're going to do 3/4 a cup of cocoa powder. And it doesn't really matter what kind of cocoa powder you use. I think this is just unsweetened. I'm pretty sure I've seen like a dark chocolate or a dark cocoa powder. It's up to you. It's your kitchen. It sure is. All right. Okay. I'm going to clean this up and then we're going to move on. Because one thing about it, if you're not cleaning as you go, are you really a cook? Are you really a baker? Next, we are going to do 1 1/2 baking soda and then 1 1/2 baking powder. And I'm literally just dropping everything in here, guys. I'm dropping everything in this one bowl, and then, of course, we're just going to add our wet ingredients after. A little low on baking powder, ain't it? It's okay, we gonna make do. We got enough. And another thing, too, I would possibly recommend putting your dry ingredients in a bowl and then sifting or like mixing them or sifting them into your mixing bowl. It just helps a lot to reduce some of those clumps. We're also going to do 1 tablespoon of salt. Yes, I'm using the salt out of the freaking thing because it's salt. I put it in there. I know it's salt. And then before I move on to my next step, I'm going to do 2 cups of sugar into the same mixture. Now I'm going to mix this up with my whisk just to get like the clumps reduced, and then also just mix everything in here so that when I add my wet ingredients, I don't have to do this step. And it reduces a lot of the struggle to add the wet ingredients in here. If you can hear that noise in the background, that is my kettle. You are going to need a cup of boiling water after you add in your wet ingredients. So make sure you're getting your water hot and boiled before we move on to the next step, okay? We have our mixing bowl ready to mix. So I'm going to do a cup of milk. This would probably be helpful if it were room temperature milk. It's not. Do as I say, not as I do. Have room temperature milk already ready, okay? Boom. And then we're going to do 1/2 cup of oil. This can be, oh, I'm up here making messes. This can be vegetable oil. This can be canola oil. Y'all remember what I said about oil when it comes to cakes? I would say vegetable oil is the probably most helpful choice because it'll leave your cake a little bit less dense. Canola oil gives a more of a thicker finish, in my opinion. We are going to add 2 eggs in here. These also should be room temperature. If your ingredients are not room temperature, please wait. Don't rush it. All right. Just give your stuff time to get to the same temperature, and then you'll have better success mixing your cake and your cake baking. So I'm going to use my paddle attachment to mix this. I would use my whisk attachment, but it is broke. It's okay. A new one's on the way. Don't worry about it. We're going to mix this on like a 4 or 5. We don't want to overbeat it, but we also want everything to get well acquainted. After a couple of minutes, we're going to go in and mix it with our spatula just to make sure there are no clumps. There's no dry ingredients at the bottom. And then we're going to continue. So it's been a couple of minutes. And I just opened the thing up. I can already see it's still dry ingredients at the bottom. So please, please, please make sure you mix those in. Just make sure you get in there, use that arm, give it a good little whip. Okay. Get the sides, get the bottom. If you use a hand mixer or stir by hand, this is probably something you don't have to worry about. But either way, just make sure all of your ingredients are mixed in well. And then while my mixer is still off, I'm going to add some vanilla extract. No, I didn't measure it, because why are you measuring vanilla extract? So now I see that my batter is thick. She is mixed in all the way. There are no dry ingredients left at the bottom or lingering around. She's pretty thick. Let me show y'all. Like, yeah. It's giving brownie batter. Okay. Love it. Period. So since we're basically done with the mixer, I'm going to move it out of my way. And now I'm going to get my water ready. We're just doing 1 cup of water. I'm going to mix this water in by hand just because I don't want to over blend it and I don't want it to be like not blended enough. I'm just going to slowly add it, and then I'm going to use my skills and I'm going to whip it. At this point, I'm just going to hold it. Okay, because that ain't doing nothing. I'm going to add a little bit, and then we're just going to mix. Okay, now let's get the baking. Spray this really good. I'm gonna pour my batter into my pan. This is a 6-inch pan, and I'm gonna fill it like halfway. I don't want to fill it too much because I don't want it to start baking and then like overflow, if that makes sense. So yeah. And then I'm gonna bake this in the oven at 425. That's not true. Don't, please don't bake the cake at 425. 325 for about 35 to 40 minutes, okay? I'm going to start working on my icing. This is a simple chocolate icing to match the chocolate cake, but you can feel free to use whatever kind of icing that you want. But this is what we're doing today, okay? So for my icing, I'm going to start with a softened stick of butter. This is salted butter, but you can use unsalted. In my opinion, you can't really taste the difference. So I'm going to cream this in my mixer for about 3 to 4 minutes, and I'm gonna let it get really soft. While that was going, I went to check on my cake, and of course it wasn't done. I stuck a toothpick in the middle to see if it would come out clean, but it didn't, so I let it sit in the oven for about 10 more minutes. Once my butter had creamed completely, I went ahead and removed it from the mixing thing. I don't know, the mixing stand, whatever it's called. So anyway, I went ahead and I sifted my cocoa powder and my powdered sugar into the butter, and I made sure that all of the clumps were gone. As y'all could see, my sifter was ready to give out on me, but I had 3 cups to do, so I said, you know what, girl, you gotta clock in and push through. Once my ingredients were smoothed out, I went ahead and added it back to my mixing post, and then to begin mixing my icing, I started adding my milk and my vanilla mixture like little by little, just because I knew if I added it all at once, it was just gonna clump up. And if I didn't add enough, it was just gonna clump up. So little by little, I started adding my milk. And then, as y'all could probably tell, it wasn't really doing too much. So I had to add some milk out of the carton, and I had to give it a little bang. This mixer is kind of old, but you know what? Me and her been through a lot together, so I love her. She cool or whatever. I ain't got no problems with Shorty. But anywho, I have to, give her a little oomph sometimes because she don't be wanting to work, just like my little sifter. But that's totally okay. Sometimes you got to show your items a little love because they got to know what they working for. So anyway, once it started getting a little thick, I just kept adding milk little by little, like literally like no more than a tablespoon at a time. And then once I saw that it was a texture that I liked, I just gave it a good stir, and then that was it. When using powdered sugar in an icing, it's always going to be on the thicker side. So when you refrigerate your icing, I would recommend leaving it out on the counter just to thaw out and get a little bit more room temperature before you start trying to put it on your cake. As soon as I took my cake layers out of the oven, I wrapped them in saran wrap and put them in the freezer just so that they could keep that extra firm freshness until I was ready to use them the next day. I do this with all of my cake layers. If I'm layering a cake, I usually wrap the layers individually, freeze them, and then whenever it is that I'm ready to use them, I will take them out and then dress them in simple syrup as you see me doing here, and then they are ready to be layered. This recipe will give you probably about 3 to 4 6-inch layers or 2 8-inch layers. Well, since y'all are here, I might as well give you a mini bonus lesson on how to stack a layered cake. So we're going to base the bottom of our board with a little bit of icing, and then we're going to place our layer, and then we're going to add some more icing. Usually, like I said, when it is like room temperature, it'll be more swift to mix and move around, but I had just pulled it out of the fridge, and I don't know why I thought it was going to act right. But anywho, I knew it was going to give me a hard time, so I just went ahead and made me a hot spatula. I sat my spatulas in some boiling water when I was not using them, and that made it a little bit easier for me to move this icing around. And also, with the icing in between layers, don't be skimp. Like, you think it's going to be enough, but just add a little bit more because you never know. Some people like a lot, some people don't like a lot, and you never know how little it is until you actually cut the cake open. When adding your dowels, always make sure that your dowels are cut shorter than your tallest layer, just because you don't want them to be sticking out of your cake. 2 to 3 should really do the job, and then you're going to cover them with icing, and then you're just going to keep doing this cake how you would if you didn't have dowels in them. Also, y'all, the dowels are just there to add extra support, so if you don't feel like you need them, don't add them. But I could tell me in this cake was going to have a little hard time, so I went ahead and put them in there. When decorating a layer cake, you want to make sure that you add a crumb coat, and this is basically what you see here. Just me adding like a layer around the edge before I do my final coat that is going to cover up any cracks and creases. But since this is just a little cake for y'all, I went ahead and just made this the final coat. Also, I'm going to dress her up and make her look real cute. So I just did a couple of squiggly lines on the side. I don't know what I was doing. I was just trying stuff. But anyway, I got the bright idea as I was like trying to figure out what else to do. I said, you know what? I'm going to pipe a border on the bottom, and then I'm also going to do a nice little chocolate drizzle with some dark chocolate, and I think it came out pretty cute. I mean, it's delicious. I love it. For this to be a little simple cake for the house, I think it's pretty damn cute. But hey, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. And if you try this recipe, let me know how it turns out. If you want to know how I made this chocolate drizzle, or if you want a video on how I pipe my icing, drop a comment and I can have that arranged. But other than that, I appreciate y'all for stopping by, and I hope to see y'all again on my channel the next time I make something sweet. If you have a recommendation of something you want to see me make, drop that in the comments or hit my DMs on Instagram. But other than that, make sure you like this video, drop a comment below, and make sure you're subscribed to both of my channels if you are not already. Until next time, y'all stay sweet.